Japanese planes fill the sky at 7:48 on a Sunday morning. The USS Arizona sinks in 9 minutes. 2,400 Americans are dead. This republic is 165 years old, built on promises no nation had ever kept. It has been struck on its own soil. What comes next is undecided. To understand how America survives this, we go back 165 years, to 56 men who signed a document that was their death warrant if they lost. How do 13 colonies with no army, no currency, and no reason to trust each other defeat the greatest empire on earth? Nobody believes they can. Jefferson writes that all men are created equal while owning more than 600 people. The contradiction is not an oversight. It is the original wound. Washington writes in his diary that the army is starving, barefoot, and outnumbered 10-1. He fears the revolution will be finished before spring. Christmas night, 1776. Washington loads 2,400 men into boats in a blizzard and crosses the Delaware. The garrison at Trenton is asleep. The Revolution lives. October 1781. The British surrender at Yorktown as their band plays "The World Turned Upside Down," the greatest empire on earth, beaten by farmers and lawyers. Victory does not finish the country. Within 5 years, it cannot tax, govern, or pay its own army. This nation will be defined by its near collapses, not its wins. Madison arrives in Philadelphia in 1787, having studied every democracy in history. Everyone collapsed. He will write a better one before this does. The convention produces a framework unlike anything the world has seen. It passes only by burying a compromise that will haunt the country for decades. Enslaved people are counted as 3/5 of a person for representation. Slavery is never named in the document. Freedom is built on a lie no one names. Hamilton builds a national bank and debt system Jefferson believes is monarchy in disguise. Both men are right about what America is becoming. In 1803, Napoleon offers Jefferson a territory twice the size of the United States. Jefferson thinks the Constitution forbids it. He buys it anyway. America doubles. Lewis and Clark cross 8,000 miles of unmapped continent. Their journals describe grasslands large enough to hide entire nations and rivers no map has named. In 1838, 16,000 Cherokee are marched westward at Bayonet Point. Around 4,000 die. The Supreme Court ruled it illegal. The President ignored the ruling. By the 1840s, Manifest Destiny enters the language. God's plan for America to span a continent. It erases everyone and everything already standing in its path. America seizes California, Texas, and 5 other territories from Mexico. Grant Annett, who fights in it, later calls it one of the most unjust wars ever waged. By 1850, more than 3 million enslaved people work the cotton fields. That economy is worth more than every American bank and factory combined. 3 congressional compromises on slavery each only trigger the next crisis. By the late 1850s, senators carry pistols onto the Senate floor to settle debates. John Brown seizes the arsenal at Harper's Ferry in 1859 to start a slave rebellion. He is hanged. The South calls him a terrorist. The North calls him a prophet. Lincoln wins the 1860 presidency without a single Southern vote. He has never governed anything larger than Illinois. He is inheriting a country in free fall. Confederate guns open fire on Fort Sumter, April 12, 1861. America is at war with itself. Lincoln has 16,000 soldiers and will need 500,000. January 1st, 1863. Lincoln signs the Emancipation Proclamation. One sentence turns this into a war to end slavery. The South now defends a world the rest have condemned. 51,000 casualties in 3 days at Gettysburg. Pickett's charge sends 12,000 men across an open field into Union guns. 7,000 fall in an hour. Lincoln writes privately he fears he will not live to see the war's end. His son Willie is dead. He tells stories late at night so he does not weep. Lee surrenders on April 9, 1865. Grant orders no salutes, no cheers. The rebels are our countrymen again. The country that nearly died is already becoming a different one. 5 days after Appomattox, Booth shoots Lincoln at Ford's Theater. The man who might have healed the country is dead. What follows will not be graceful. 3 amendments abolish slavery, grant citizenship, and guarantee voting rights by 1870. Black Americans reach Congress for the first time. The promise of 1776 seems reachable. The Compromise of 1877 withdraws troops from the South. Jim Crow installs segregation. The 15th Amendment exists on paper. It will not be enforced for 90 years. The country reinvents itself again, this time without a war. 4 men hold more wealth than the bottom 40% of Americans. Carnegie alone is worth $372 billion today. American factories outproduce Britain. Railroads span the continent. Workers earn $1.50 a day to build an empire that will not remember their names. 12 million immigrants pass through Ellis Island. Irish, Italian, Jewish, Polish, Greek. They arrive with nothing. America is assembled from the rest of the world. Roosevelt takes office in 1901 at 42. The youngest president in history. He breaks Standard Oil and creates 5 national parks in 1 term. A new kind of power speaks. The 19th Amendment passes by 1 vote from a legislator whose mother sent him a letter that morning urging him to vote yes. 72 years. 1 letter. America enters World War I in April 1917 and deploys 2 million soldiers to France. When the armistice comes, the United States is the world's largest creditor nation. The Dow Jones rises 400% between 1924 and 1929. America invents mass consumer culture, electric lights, automobiles, jazz clubs. The party will last forever. $30 billion vanish on October 29, 1929. 15 million Americans will be unemployed within 3 years. The Depression reaches every corner of the earth. Roosevelt tells 60 million Americans, "The only thing we have to fear is fear itself." He creates 42 agencies in 100 days. Government becomes the answer. By 1940, factories convert from cars to bombers. Ford's Willow Run builds 1 B-24 every 63 minutes. No army in history has had a supply line like this. December 7, 1941. Admiral Yamamoto, who studied at Harvard, reportedly warns his staff, "I fear we have awakened a sleeping giant." He is catastrophically right. 6 million American women enter the workforce between 1942 and 1945. They build aircraft carriers and artillery shells. The war transforms American society more than any law. June 6, 1944. Among the 156,000 troops on those beaches are grandsons of freed slaves and sons of immigrants. The nation that nearly broke in 1861 arrives as one force. Paris is liberated on August 25, 1944. 8 months later, Germany surrenders. Farm boys who enlisted in 1941 have freed a continent. 400,000 Americans died doing it. The Enola Gay drops the first atomic bomb on August 6, 1945. 80,000 die. What the word power means is permanently altered. By 1945, America produces half the world's industrial output. Its currency becomes the global reserve. The war that could have broken it instead built something unrecognizable from before. What follows is decades testing whether the remaking still holds. The Soviet Union has the bomb. China has fallen to communism. America defends freedom abroad while denying it at home. 36,000 Americans die in Korea between 1950 and 1953. The war ends where it began. For the first time, the world's mightiest military fights to a draw. Rosa Parks refuses to move. Freedom riders are beaten in Alabama. Martin Luther King tells a crowd, "I have a dream. America is being forced to mean what it promised." 58,000 Americans die in Vietnam. The world's mightiest military cannot win a guerrilla war in a country the size of California. Power has limits. Between 1963 and 1968, America loses Kennedy, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and Robert Kennedy. 4 men, 5 years. Each carried the argument about what it could still be. Nixon resigns in 1974, the only president to do so. The tapes reveal a man who believed the law did not apply to him. For a time, it had not. Reagan wins in 1980, promising to restore greatness. He cuts taxes, triples the debt, and accelerates the confrontation with the Soviets. America is betting on itself again. The Berlin Wall comes down November 9, 1989. Crowds tear it apart with hammers and bare hands. The Soviet Union dissolves 2 years later. It is over. In 1991, America stands alone as the only superpower. It has remade itself every time the alternative was collapse. Now, for the first time, nothing remains to remake against. 2 planes hit the World Trade Center on September 11, 2001. The Pentagon is struck. A Pennsylvania field holds the wreckage of United 93. In 102 minutes, 2,977 dead. 20 years of war in Afghanistan and Iraq. 7,000 Americans killed, trillions spent. The world's mightiest military cannot transform nations that do not want to be transformed. By the 2020s, American divisions are deeper than at any point since the Civil War. A country that crossed an ocean for freedom cannot agree on what freedom means. American universities hold 40% of the world's top research positions. Immigrants still arrive by millions. The country has remade itself before, from slaveholder to liberator, from isolationist to empire. That flag cost $5.50 from a Sears catalog. Engine exhaust may have knocked it flat on launch. No one has gone back to check.